right, you guys. Mic check. Make sure everybody can hear me. Hey, what's going on, General Jin Han, Dory? All right. Is it still playing? I thought I turned it off. Okay. I thought I killed it. All right. Is that better? Mic cool now? I got bars. Okay, what about the mic? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, still now no sound? All right. Wait a minute, you guys. All right. Hmm. How about now? Sound better now? Mic check, mic check. Sound better? Or is it still low? You guys, can you hear now? Is the sound better? Still low? Does that yes mean it's still low or you can hear me better? Okay. So I'm assuming that everybody's good with sound. If you're not good with sound, type no. So I know what the deal is. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I just had it down because, as you guys can see, I changed some stuff on the stream, so I was fooling around with it, but it should be good now, hopefully. Yeah, Castlevania's getting to season 3. What's going on, Bounty? Yeah, so the music should be off now, hopefully, Bounty. I turned that off. Actually, I meant to take that off of this startup screen completely, but it got past me. Okay, cool. All right, guys. So it's a couple of things I want to discuss. Of course, we'll always have open time to talk about the things that just pop up in the chat. But first of all, thank you guys for bearing with me on Super Bowl Sunday. Although, ironically enough, the fourth quarter I was knocked out. I fell asleep, and they took pictures of me, in which I told my wife, if those pictures go up on social media, we're gonna have a problem because I'm looking real bad in those pictures. I actually fell asleep. Sorry, during the fourth quarter, and wasn't a pretty picture. All right, you guys. So a couple of things I wanted to focus on. I kind of broke them up into categories to make sure I got myself straight in terms of everything that we want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about was the Fast and the Furious trailer. So that was kind of the first thing I was thinking about. Um, so that's what I want to tackle first, and then we'll get into some Marvel stuff and some Disney stuff and all that kind of good stuff. That's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted right there. All right. That'd be interesting, actually, if Marvel did pick up Sam Raimi to direct Doctor Strange 2. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Fast and Furious 9, of which a lot of people are really excited. You know, where supposedly we'll get justice for Han and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll see what's going on there. But if you guys saw the last video I put out, I said problem. So here's my issue with Fast and Furious 9. And it's not really necessarily with what I'm hearing the story is going to be, even though nobody knows definitely. Excuse me, my issue with Fast and Furious 9 is John Cena. The problem with John Cena as an actor is a problem for me with Fast and Furious 9, even though I heard that him being in this movie might be a setup for something that we might see in Fast and Furious 10. I'll get to that in a second, which is the end of the franchise. Most of you guys know that. But my main problem with Fast and Furious is his performances. I don't think he's a good actor. Like he has not transitioned well, in my opinion, from wrestling to acting. All of his performances seem forced to me. They don't have kind of the natural appeal that The Rock has. So that's going to be my issue with him. I don't know what he's going to be. There's a whole bunch of speculation about what's going on there. I don't know if he's going to end up being Vin Diesel's brother. Is he an enemy? Is he not an enemy? He dropped something on social media saying pretty much that, you know, everything might not be what it looks like. But so I'm a little bit nervous about him being in this movie as a performer. But the movie actually has some star power. I think Helen Mirren is back. I believe Charlize Theron is coming back. So the movie has some star power in it. So I'm looking forward to it, man. And it's kind of crazy when you think about how, like, at first the most we could hope for in a trilogy or in a franchise was a trilogy, like 3 movies and then it was done. This thing is going on 9 and then there's 1 more. So I think that's interesting because it gives you hope for long-running franchises and long-running franchises that can be entertaining if not good. And that's really how I would classify the Fast and Furious franchise. I think they're entertaining movies. I don't think they're good movies. I think they're entertaining movies. They're a lot of fun to watch. So that's my big fear about that. But I'm wondering what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling about Fast and Furious 9. And if you're looking forward to it, I don't know if Tremaine's on yet. I don't think he is on. I think he's going to jump on a little bit later, but I know that he's looking forward to it. I know a whole bunch of people are looking to see what the deal is with Han. And I don't... So there's some theories floating around out there about Han not really being dead. And I saw some videos earlier that were theorizing about how Han is not really dead. I don't know how he could not be dead. And I think the scenes that we see him in the trailer is either some kind of flashback, some kind of memory, something like that. I think Han's dead. That's really what I think. And I think that there will be some surprises of what happens with Jason Statham's character. Sorry, you guys, my Invisaligns. I told you guys before when I switched them, they're always super tight, so it makes my speech really bad. But yeah, anyway, so those are my thoughts on Fast and Furious 9. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. So, Dora, you're saying you can't wait for Fast and Furious 9. You cringed hard at the trailer. Hey, Renee, I think I missed you when you jumped on. Looking forward to Alter Carbon 2, actually, too. I think that would be pretty good on Netflix. You know what, Dory? I don't think they will kill John Cena for fan service. Here's what I heard, and this is exciting. What I heard is that it's very possible that in the end of the franchise in Fast and Furious 10, that we will get Cena versus The Rock. Just off of the WWE, that whole thing to see on screen, and with it being the end of the franchise, so you know it's going to be big, you know it's going to be crazy. But to have The Rock come back and Cena go against The Rock, I think would be crazy. And I think fans would love to see that. So that's what I'm hearing we might get. But I'm not holding out for hope with John Cena and his acting. I think that's going to be pretty bad. I'm feeling pretty confident about that. But I know a lot of people are excited about it because they've been waiting for it, and now we'll see the culmination of things, so to speak, after this one last movie. So I definitely want to share my thoughts on that. All right. All right, guys. So I wanted to bring that up just to see what you guys thought about that, but it looks like we can move on to topic number two, and this one should be interesting. So, Disney Plus and future Marvel movies. I assume by now that most of you guys saw the trailers for WandaVision and the one for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then that little tidbit for Loki, if you even want to call that a trailer. I don't even know what you would call it. That's not even a teaser. That's so. But here's what I'm thinking about that, because initially I thought that it was wrong. I didn't like the fact that Marvel was chaining Disney Plus so much with the MCU. I guess from a consumer fact, like you're trying to make me pay for Disney Plus by connected to the MCU, of course, which I do. But the more I think about that, the more I think that that's actually a good move. And here's why I say that: because you can get so much more mileage out of character development by putting shows out on Disney Plus that are linked to the MCU, where I feel like if you're a big Marvel fan, you should be really excited about that, because you can have a much broader story, a much more detailed story, and they can use the Disney Plus stuff to really, really fortify what's going on in the MCU. So as I thought about it, I was thinking, man, you know what? That's really not a bad move if the shows on Disney Plus are good, and if we get more than one. Like from what I understand, WandaVision is supposed to be a short run, and I'm not sure about Hawkeye, the Falcon, and Winter Soldiers. But if we get a lot of shows on Disney Plus and they fortify what's going on in the MCU, I think that's a win, man. Because I think that Feige wants to go crazy big with the MCU, much more than what we just saw with individualized movies when we had the standalone movies for our heroes, and then we had the Avengers, and we know that there are more Avengers movies coming, which I think is funny. Some people thought that, okay, well, we're not going to see any more Avengers in the MCU. There's a whole bunch of iterations of the Avengers, from West Coast Avengers to all the different Avengers team ups over time. So we are going to have other Avengers movies. That's definitely going to happen. But I think that the dude is going to go grand scale. I think that Feige's vision, and I don't know this, I haven't read it. If you guys have, then let me know. But I think that Feige's vision is going to be almost a cinematic vision of what we see in the comic books, which means it's going to be on a huge scale. And Disney Plus is a part of that whole idea. So yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about that at this point. All right, take it easy. I will see you, man. Dorito chip gamer. So you guys have any thoughts about that? Are you guys excited about WandaVision? Are you wondering what's going on with WandaVision, especially based on the trailer? The trailer's pretty interesting because I think folks are trying to figure out what's going on there, whether or not we're seeing her with using some reality warping, because it looks like she's changed times, or she's not in current times. A couple of clips from the trailer make her seem like she's a bit back in the day. So I'm really fascinated by that. I think that one or two things are going on there. I think it could be a reality warping, and she's really having a hard time of all this going on with Vision. Or if it is the case that Nightmare has some influence over what's going on in WandaVision, and Nightmare is the main villain, it could be Nightmare playing with Wanda's mind. That's possible too. So Jinhan is saying that he thinks it's a solid business move, but he's not sure that he will watch every single Disney Plus MCU or Disney Plus show just so that I'm up to date on the MCU. So, wait, in fact, I'm even thinking about passing some MCU films as well. So to me, Jinhan, it depends, man. It depends on how they build it up. It depends on how they make the connections, because if they make the connections between the two so enticing that you almost have to see it, or if they're able to build this really detailed world of a whole bunch of different heroes, such that you have to see it to really appreciate all that's going on. I mean, I know definitely that I'd watch it. So it just depends on how they structure it and how they connect the shows and the movies as to how well I think this whole thing works. But I think it could be really really big. So, and Renee, you're saying that you think that some of them could be background noise. Again, I think it's how they structure it. It really is. Because I think with WandaVision, for example, if they really go into all the things that she can do, the Scarlet Witch can do, then I think that's going to make a great setup, especially for Doctor Strange 2 and how we see her in the future. So I just think those things that are on Disney Plus can really deep dive and dig into a lot of individual characters because you have more time to get into their backstories, to really look at their power profiles, to really look at their interactions with other heroes in the DC or the MCU. So I think there's a whole bunch of value there. See, I don't think Jen Hine, I don't think WandaVision is a sitcom. I think that's the look that we see from some of the images in the trailers, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think that is actually, like I said, that's something either going on in Wanda's mind, and I feel like that might be happening, helping her kind of deal with all that's going on. But I don't think the show will be situated that way. I think the show will probably be more serious than it appears to be from the images that we get. Yeah, I think the Falcon and the Winter Soldier looks pretty good too, and I'm also intrigued by Loki. But honestly, like I'm more intrigued by WandaVision, and that really has nothing to do with the Vision. It's almost completely because of the Scarlet Witch. You know what? That's good actually, Renee. It did remind me of the Truman Show. I didn't think about that comparison, but the look, it sure did. Yeah, I think she could be in her mind too. Like I said, I think she could be in her mind, or if it is the case that Nightmare ends up being the main antagonist in that show, it could be him in her mind. It could be him doing that to her. Because if you take Wanda from the comics, they haven't really built her up this way in the movies, and we'll see if they develop this in her. But in the comics, the one weakness that she has is she is mentally unstable. Um, so I mean that's how that's really kind of you got that whole breakdown. If you guys ever read the whole House of M saga, she can be nuts. She can be unstable. So I totally see someone like Nightmare being able to project some things in her mind, and she's kind of living stuff that's not true. And I think that we're gonna find something like that. We're gonna find out either that it's a projection. She's done some reality warping, which is one of her abilities on her own, or someone is manipulating her mentally. That's what I think. But I'm looking forward to it, so I can't wait for that. I want to see a little bit more about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think the scene we saw from him with the shield, I think that was cool. But I really want to see how they roll all of that out. By the way, does anybody know how many episodes each one of these shows are getting? Because I'm not sure. My assumption is 8, but I don't know for sure how many episodes each one of these shows are getting. Oh man, I would love to see Moon Knight too. Because I think Moon Knight Jinhan anyway is kind of the MCU's version of Batman. A lot of people have problems with that analogy or that connection, but I would love to see that too. And again, the same thing with Moon Knight. Like the dude is mentally unstable. Some say nuts, but I would love to see a Moon Knight show. That would be very, very cool. And again, I would love to see that link to the MCU too. I think my whole thing about the MCU is the more the merrier. That's one of the reasons why I'm excited about Doctor Strange too, and it's one of the reasons why I'm excited about the Eternals. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah, I know they're working on I believe they're working on a Moon Knight movie, which I think is Phase 5 in Marvel. I'm not sure about the show, but I would love to see like a crossover for that. If you couldn't really cover or get too much into his backstory in a movie and you weren't planning to do 3 Moon Knight movies, man, what? You put it on Disney Plus and really get into it? I would love that. That would be awesome. So we'll see what's going on there, but yeah, I couldn't find an episode count either. I was looking on it. I was looking for it before we started the stream, but I couldn't find anything. I assume it's probably going to be between 8 and 10. Might have kind of like a Mandalorian deal. So that's what I'm assuming. I just hope it does well. All right, so guys, I wanted to turn your attention to this next topic as well, which I think is interesting. Please chime in if you have thoughts on it, and that is the MCU's most powerful hero. Now we know Feige has backed off of that being Captain Marvel and is now saying that that is the Scarlet Witch. And I'm not even really sure of all the details about that. I've heard a couple of different things as to why Feige is now saying that, some falling out between Brie Larson and Feige. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stuff. I don't know. So, well, that's concerning, Jinhan. If it's 6 episodes for the two of them, that's concerning because that's not very long. So hopefully they're pretty good. And if it's only 6 episodes now, that's making me think, at least for WandaVision, that's some kind of MCU setup, definitely, because that's not a lot of episodes. So we'll see what's going on there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the MCU's most powerful hero. Now Feige is saying that the MCU's most powerful hero is the Scarlet Witch, no longer Captain Marvel, which I want to say has always been the case. It's always been the case. When they introduced Scarlet Witch into the MCU, she was the most powerful hero in the MCU at that time, and I would argue even more powerful than Thor and Doctor Strange. So it's kind of funny to me now that Feige is saying that she's the most powerful hero in the MCU when it was the case always. Even after even after Captain Marvel got introduced, she wasn't more powerful than the Scarlet Witch. Like, that's why WandaVision is interesting, because if they present the Scarlet Witch, and I know I've said this before, if they present her like she's presented in the comic books, she is a complete beast. With all that she knows and her ability to use the chaos magic, most definitely the most powerful hero in the MCU. And I know Feige has said that they really have plans to use her a lot. So to date, I think without question that she's the most powerful hero in the MCU. She can. I mean, you know that happened in the House of M. She basically she uttered the words "no more mutants," and there were no more mutants. So she's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, apparently so, Jinhan. I guess that train has or that boat has sailed, or whatever the saying is, between he and Larson. But anyway, it's a right correction, because she's always been more powerful than her. So it's good that they finally came to that conclusion. But what I do think will happen, and we'll see what happens with Doctor Strange 2, is we are going to get the introduction of a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but I'm sure we're going to get the introduction of I don't even know how many, but magic based heroes are probably what we're going to get in Doctor Strange. We will see some magic based heroes into the MCU, which is cool. Again, like, it's diversifying the MCU, because we had Doctor Strange, then we get the Scarlet Witch. So I think we're going to see more magic based heroes, further giving us a more interesting look at the different powerful things that we'll see going on in the MCU. So I'm really looking forward to Doctor Strange 2 as well. Hopefully we can get the whole director thing squared away. I think someone in the chat, may have been Renee, that said that Raimi was possibly being eyed to direct that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. All right, so you guys, let's talk about this next. What do you think about? Oh, I didn't even separate those pictures. Yeah, I know. I know that Clea is supposed to be in there as well. Um, and Mordu is coming back. So Doctor Strange is actually going to introduce a lot of different heroes. So hopefully the story is still good. And Feige did say it will open things up for heroes to enter the MCU. So I hope we get a good story, man. That's all I hope. I hope we get a good story. But as I said, I do think that a primary part of that movie will be the entrance of more magical heroes and probably villains in the MCU again. So that's another aspect or another layer to deal with in the MCU. That's why I said, man, I think that what I'm telling you, I think that Feige has a bold, expansive vision for the MCU. And that's why I think you're getting what we might consider a lot of quote unquote lesser heroes as well, because he really wants to expand it. I think Feige's vision is a comic book or cinematic version of what we see in the comic books, which I will say is different from what we've seen in DC. And I think that DC could take a page out of that once DC gets itself established with, I guess, better performing movies. And I say better performing because I don't think all of the DC films have been bad. I personally, I liked the Man of Steel. I thought it was good, but and I didn't hate Justice League. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it though. And Wonder Woman is still by far in my top 10 favorite superhero movies of all of them, including Marvel. All the Wonder Woman movies I've seen have been, or everything I've seen her in her own movie, and the one that she's got coming looks great. She's amazing in that role. So all right, so I want to jump to this and talk a little bit about what James Gunn said about death in the Marvel universe, or death in superhero movies. I want to know what you guys think about this. So James Gunn, someone made some kind of statement on his Twitter account about killing heroes in movies. You guys know right now he's working on Suicide Squad, and then after that he's gonna hop over to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And the comment was, I would put it up, but then I got to search for it. So yeah, Wonder Woman was awesome, Renee. I love Wonder Woman. Man, look, don't get me started. Wonder Woman was great. Man, she's good in that role. Um, so James Gunn said, no, someone said, whatever you do, James, make sure that you. I'm paraphrasing here. Whatever you do, make sure that you don't kill off major heroes. There's no reason to do that. You know, you can do other things in a film to provide angst in a hero's life besides killing them off. So James Gunn's response was interesting, and he said that he thinks that actually killing heroes off in a film can be good because it really helps us to deal with certain things going on in our lives, and that's what films are about. Films are about helping us to deal with hardships and circumstances and situations in our lives. That might not be a direct quote. You guys can look that up. I'd have to fool around and jump on Twitter to try and find it. But I'm curious to know what you think about that. Do you think that it could be a franchise killer to kill off a major hero? I mean, we lost Iron Man, which definitely would be considered a major hero, and we lost Black Widow to not really considered a major hero. But how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that it's a problem if you kill off major heroes in a movie? You think James Gunn has a good point in that heroes should die like anyone else in a film, and that's something that we just essentially have to deal with? I'm just curious to know your thoughts on that. Hey, what's going on, Bearborn? I'm not sure if I caught you when you came in, but if I didn't, yeah, it was sad when Black Widow died. That was unfortunate. Looking forward to her movie too, by the way. Okay, all right. So Bearborn is saying that they're just folks with powers without sacrifice. You might be right about that, Dory, because everybody's talking about Parasite. All right, you guys. I'm just reading some of the responses to the question. All right, so Jen Hine is saying, well, it depends on what purpose the hero's death serves. Iron Man's death was made perfect sense in Endgame because perfect sense in Endgame because let's face it, even though it was titled as an ensemble film, the latest two Avengers. Okay, welcome, Barabon, man. I'm glad you came to hang out with us. This is especially today. You caught us on an off day. Our normal stream is on Sunday at 8 o'clock p.m., but we're making up for Super Bowl Sunday. I got to go see Parasite 2 on a different note. Finally, Parasite is in a theater in our area. At first, it wasn't. It just hit theaters in our area. So here's what I think about death in in superhero movies. Um, I mean, I think it's a good thing. I think it's fine, but I do think, as probably a lot of people who speculate about how these things will go, especially if you read a lot of your comics, then nobody's actually ever really dead in a superhero movie or in a comic book. Like most people, they find some way to bring them back. Now, some people have problems with that because they feel like it cheapens the death and it really doesn't impact the viewer. But for those folks that read comic books, you know it's going to happen. You know they're coming back. We likely will see Iron Man again because they always bring people back. But I feel like for folks who read the comics, it's not that big of a deal because you've just kind of accepted that's the way it is, and that's the way it is, and you just kind of, I mean, you know that, so it doesn't really bother me. I can see Gunn's point about it really kind of making the hero have more value if it's possible that they can die, and there is something nice about that. If they do have a scenario where like anybody can die, like, and there were, I mean, if you there's some TV shows you just never knew what might happen. The Walking Dead, anybody could die, so you knew nobody was expendable. So, but I don't have any issues with it. I mean, I say if it's within the flow of the story and they gotta go, then they gotta go. But I would not be surprised if they did not stay dead. I don't think that that's um, I don't think that's a that's a stretch to believe that they probably won't. Yep, Dory, I sure am gonna watch Jones this weekend. Anytime I get a chance to see him, although I don't like him as much as I used to. All right, you guys. So let's jump on to topic number 5. Then we'll do 6, and then we can just open up for whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat. So, number 5, Brother Voodoo in Doctor Strange. So I said before that one of the things that's exciting about Doctor Strange is I do think he's going to introduce a lot more magic-based players into the MCU, which I think is cool. I think Brother Voodoo is interesting about being in the MCU because, again, I think, Feige is trying to expand the MCU in all kinds of ways, and definitely making sure that we have all different types of of heroes in the MCU. We have Shang-Chi coming. We have the Brother Voodoo possibly coming in Doctor Strange, who is Haitian, which I will say an interesting thing. I have a good friend of mine that's Haitian, and he didn't like the fact that Brother Voodoo was in Doctor Strange, because he didn't like the fact that they call him Brother Voodoo, like all Haitians practice voodoo. So that was a whole big thing. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in there because that was interesting. But I'm excited about this because, again, I think that if it looks like Feige's doing what I think he's doing, and really just expanding the MCU from a lot of different angles, I think this will be a good addition if we see him in the movie. The only thing I said, and I'll say again, is, yeah, he does look like a shaman, Dory. The only thing I've said, and I'll say again, is hopefully Doctor Strange 2 gets a good director and the story is good, because when you add a whole bunch of heroes, it can be hard. It can be hard to balance everything, and we saw that in a few of the Avengers movies too, where the story wasn't as strong because it just wasn't enough given to all the different players. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen in Doctor Strange, even though I have a feeling the primary focus in Doctor Strange will probably be the Scarlet Witch. I think that will be kind of her big coming out movie. It might almost, in a sense, be her solo film. I think that's how much screen time and focus she is going to get in Doctor Strange. I really think that movie is going to be primarily about her, because I think they're really going to try and blow her up in the MCU. So those are my thoughts about that. But I'm excited about Brother Voodoo, which, interestingly enough, for a while, he was actually the Sorcerer Supreme for a little bit. He held that title. He held the title that Doctor Strange had when basically he abdicated the title and Brother Voodoo took it over. So I think it's going to be cool to kind of see him in the MCU. Yeah, you might be right. You might be right. But I will tell you though, Bearborn, he's pretty old in the comics. I want to say, man, did he come out? He may have come on the scene in the comics in the 1970s, man. I could be wrong about that. Somebody can fact check me, but he's been around for a minute, and he's had some solo appearances in a whole bunch of comics throughout the different years. And I think for a while he may have even had his own run. I think it was a short one, but he may have even had his own run. So it'll be kind of cool to see what they do with him. It'll be interesting to see how they bring him in. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. All right, guys, one more topic I wanted to cover, then we'll open it up, and that is the Eternals. So, it's funny because when Feige was talking about the Eternals, one of the things he did say is that he said he feels like it's a risky film, but he did say it was a big film, said it was an important film, and he also said it was an expensive film. That makes me happy. That means they threw some dollars behind this, so this should be a very good work. I've said before why I think the Eternals is so important, because I do think that the Eternals is the linchpin that will bring everybody else in. I think after the Eternals, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're going to see it, I think it's this year, but then I read something that is 2021, so I could be off about that. But I think we're going to see it sooner and later, because I think it's going to be a prime setup for Phase 5 of what we see in Marvel and the stuff that comes after. And if and when it's going to happen, that we get the introduction into the X-Men, into the MCU, because the Eternals will explain a lot of what's going on with our heroes in Earth, and also be the bridge to a lot of celestial heroes as well. So I think it's going to be a huge movie. I feel like it's not getting the buzz that it likely deserves to get. I don't know. I mean, we haven't really seen a trailer for it, but I'm super excited about it because I think it's going to be a really, really important movie. And Feige did say something about it being important in helping to transition Marvel to the next phase of movie making. So I think that's going to be really good. And also, again, another example of how Feige is really trying to diversify the heroes within the MCU, which I think can be nothing but a good thing. I think it's a really smart move. This picture, again, doesn't really show it, but Angelina Jolie looks great in this picture, and that's why it's up there. But looking forward to a really diverse cast in that, and seeing what they do with this. It's supposed to be really good, from what I'm hearing. I mean, but we're not getting a whole bunch of buzz about it. Okay, Barra. So you remember when Doctor Voodoo came in? Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with his character. So we will see. All right, guys. So the next thing I wanted to show you before we you guys just throw stuff out in the comments, and if not, I got some things I want to discuss that were not necessarily on my agenda, but I do want to take a look. Let me see if I can find it. Um, yeah, maybe he did, Dory. Oh boy. The political landscape in the U.S. is something else. For those of you guys who might be following outside of the country, it is crazy how divided the country is in the United States. Boy, oh boy, never seen anything like it. Yeah, I can't wait for the Eternals either. All right, guys, let me see if I can find my split. There it is. Okay, so everybody has seen this, but I got to show it again because I want to know what you guys think about it. Hold on, Barry. Let's see. Do you think the MCU could create? Um, they might. They could create a Chinese branch. They could. I think I'm telling you, man. I think the MCU is going for the throat, and that's why I think the DC is in trouble when it comes to how they're producing movies. The MCU is trying to. I just think from every angle, I think the MCU is trying to diversify the MCU with the different looks of different heroes, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, the whole 9 yard. I think we're going to get the whole gambit. I think they're trying to expand it, so we're going to get heroes that are on a celestial or a galactic level. We've got magic heroes coming in. I'm telling you, man, I think he's just trying to build this huge world, and that to me is crazy exciting. So we'll have to see all that comes in. Um, yeah, they're making Shang-Chi. I think Shang-Chi, we get Shang-Chi. I believe it's this year. I would have to look that up. If not, I know it's definitely next year because I know that I think as we move into Phase 4 for Marvel, I'm pretty sure it's not Phase 5. At Phase 4, I think we're going to start getting at least 2 movies a year, and I think at Phase 5 it's going to be more than that a year. So we're going to get a lot more Marvel content coming out. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna play this trailer. This was my favorite superhero commercial. So I want to play it. I know you guys have seen it, but I thought it was so funny, so I wanted to play it with you because I think it's great. All right, I'm sure you guys saw this.
It's my sanctuary. It's the one place I can let my guard down. It's where I can just kick back and be totally comfortable in my own skin. You know what I'm saying? Rocket Mortgage understands that home is where I can be myself. And that feels pretty darn good.
That's hilarious to me. Best commercial in the Super Bowl.
Helps you feel comfortable financing that home with a personalized and convenient experience centered around you. Rocket Mortgage.
Anyway.
Get mortgage.
All right. Oh, I forgot about this part. This part's hilarious too.
You got this.
Take it.
Okay, all right. Good job.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway, just thought I would share that with you. So Shang-Chi's coming out February 2021. Then that's when we'll see that. Oh, I didn't know that, Renee. Yeah, that was funny too. Actually, that was funny too. The commercials weren't as good though as they've been in the past to me with the Super Bowl, but that the one with Jason Momoa I thought was hilarious. And speaking of Jason Momoa, I think they're getting ready to start working on Aquaman 2 as well, which I enjoyed that. I thought Aquaman 1 was pretty good. But I still think that Wonder Woman is carrying the DCEU right now. Her movie is carrying the DCEU. Oh, question. I'm sorry, I just thought about this because I just watched the old Superman, the first Superman, the Richard Donner, I think the 1978 Superman. Someone when I did that Superman facts video that like nobody watched, but it was fun to make. But it got really low views, so it just showed me that the interest in it was not what I thought it would be. But here's why I'm saying that. I want to know what you think about this. What is your favorite superhero movie or Superman movie? Because for me, there's no other. That Superman 1, the Christopher Reeve Superman 1, still holds up in my opinion as the best Superman movie that we have had out of all of them, right up to today, right up to Henry Cavill Superman. It is the best Superman movie we have had for a lot of different reasons, despite the fact that we did not have the CGI capability that we have today back then. I think that is the best Superman movie that we've ever had so far. And I said I was going to put that before you guys to see what you thought about that, because I'm just curious. Yeah, it might not bear Wonder Woman 1984. I mean, I assume that would be Kristen Wiig, but I assume it would be Cheetah. I know Cheetah is her nemesis in the comics and also in the animation as well, in a lot of the cartoons, the Super Friends cartoons, rather. All right, Doris. So your favorite was Superman 2. Again, another movie with Christopher Reeves. It's a really good Superman. Boy, that movie was still good. And I remember watching it thinking, man, this movie still holds up today. It's crazy. Over 20 years old, and it still holds up. What? You're not a Superman fan? Well, it's so funny you say that, Bear, because I don't know if you've seen the Superman versus Homelander video I put out, but people were real upset about that. Real upset at me about what I said about that. My favorite Superman is the Patriot. All right, guys, so I want to jump over then now and talk about some stuff that's coming out on Netflix. I am happy that we should be getting season 2 of the Umbrella Academy. If you guys haven't checked the Umbrella Academy out season 1, please do so. I think it's great. I think it's a step above the Doom Patrol, actually. So I'm excited to see what's going on there. We're getting that coming out. We know that we're getting Castlevania is coming out again, so we're getting another season of that. I don't know if Jen Han is still on, but I have not heard anything of from Seis Manos, which is a good animation on Netflix as well. It reminds you a little bit of Into the Badlands in terms of the martial arts and the makeup and kind of like the diversity of the cast in the animation. So that's coming. Oh, you meant Homelander. Oh, then you'll be happy about what I said in that video. You got to go check that video out. It's on one of those pages, or it's in one of the groups or the playlist, the superhero playlist for Homelander versus Superman. People thought I was nuts. Yeah, I know Altered Carbon 2 is coming because some folks said they were looking forward to that. And no word on Seis Manos yet. Man, well, hopefully we get the return of that because that left us hanging. So I want to find out what's going on with that. So hopefully that happens as well. And I know Netflix also has some other big stuff coming out that I think that they're spending a fair amount of money on. Of course, we know The Witcher. They spent a whole bunch of money on that. People are really excited about season 2 of that. I think they're doing a whole C.S. Lewis series with all of his movies, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and all that kind of good stuff. I think that's coming out on Netflix as well. So they got some big stuff planned. I'm looking forward to Hunters as well. That's coming out on Amazon Prime. So there's a lot of stuff to watch, man. A lot of good stuff. And it's interesting, too, because I feel like we're seeing more and more A-list actors putting out shows on streaming platforms, which I think is interesting to see how a lot of them are not just doing movies. Yeah, I like Terry Hatcher as Lois Lane too. I remember that show on TV. I think the best TV Superman though for me without question is Smallville. Really enjoyed that. Same showrunners as Into the Badlands, by the way. Speaking of Into the Badlands, well, kind of speaking of Warrior, you guys know that Warrior is done. This is the final season of Warrior. Then that will be no more. I do think that I saw Jason Tobin, who I'm still trying to get coordinate an interview with. By the way, I think I saw him in a trailer for Fast and Furious 9. I think he was in Tokyo Drift, I believe. I think he's going to be in Fast and Furious 9 too. So that's cool to see him in there. Of course, you know Orla Brady is in Picard, which I still have to do the review. Still got to do a second review for the second episode of Picard, which I've seen. I just haven't had time to get it up. So I haven't yet, Jinheim, but I'm almost done watching Kingdom. So I'm almost done watching that, so I'll be ready for season 2. And you know what's funny? I know that you guys mentioned Kingdom on the live stream, and I hadn't really gotten through it. But I almost didn't watch Kingdom at all because I remember actually seeing a trailer for Kingdom and thinking that the film was going to be oh man, I can't think. Subtext, I think, is what I want to say, but you guys know what I mean. I thought it was going to be in a different language. I was going to read it. Oh, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can do a whole episode of having to do that. But then when I got into it, and I found that it is an English voiceover. I was like, all right, cool, because that show, man, and I don't really do zombie shows, but that show is impressive. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with martial arts shows on TV, Barra. That's a good question. I mean, Warrior was definitely good. Like the writing in Warrior, the way that they produced it, I thought the whole idea was really good. From what I understand, though, like show it didn't get the ratings that I thought it was going to get, which is surprising to me because I think Warrior won some awards its first season. The same thing with Into the Badlands. Like I don't know if you've seen ITB, we call it ITB for short here, but a lot of us on the channel and the community are big fans of Into the Badlands. If you've not seen that, Bear, make sure that you check that out on Amazon Prime or on Netflix because it is a phenomenal martial arts show. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why martial arts shows are not getting the traction they deserve because we've had two that have been really good, Into the Badlands and Warrior. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know. I know that a lot of stuff went on with Warrior. They didn't shy away from what was going on at that time, so they talked about the racism and the mistreatment of the Chinese in San Francisco at that time, and then just all the different political, racial, all that kind of stuff they talked about in the show, and they didn't shy away from it. I don't know if that had an impact on the viewership, if folks didn't want to see that. But on the flip side of that, you had Into the Badlands, which didn't really address those things. It was awesome. I mean, it was just straight. I mean, great storytelling, great world building, unparalleled martial arts, and it only got 3 seasons, really. Well, 2.5 almost, but kind of, but 3 seasons essentially, and then it was off the air. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, but the thing about that, Renee, is you could argue that if they had more modern shows with martial arts, you could argue that Warrior was that because the martial arts execution in Warrior wasn't fanciful like it was in Into the Badlands. It was pretty straight laced martial arts, so what some people might consider more grounded martial arts. And the show wasn't set in a dystopian future. It was, you could classify it maybe as a period piece because of the time setting in San Francisco, but it was a pretty normal show. I really don't understand, even from that aspect, why Warrior didn't make it, because it wasn't giving you kind of the high fantasy stuff that Into the Badlands was giving you. So You might be right, Dory. It might have been. It might have been too woke for people, which is interesting because really it was just a period piece. Like it was just a reflection of what was going on at that time. So I don't know. A martial arts crime might work, Bear. That might work. And Jen Hine is making a comment about Cinemax. He's saying, well, Cinemax still renewed Warrior for season 2 in the middle of the airing. So if Cinemax didn't cancel out of original programs, who knows? We may have gotten a season 3. That is true because, and I think you mentioned this before, Jen Hine, the Cinemax was canceling a lot of original programs, so that may have been why Warrior got the axe. I did hear also though that the ratings for Warrior went down too, so I don't know. Yes, sir. Picard does have martial arts in it. Picard is good. I gotta get that. I'm gonna try and get that. I almost have to get the review up for Picard too because episode 3 comes out tomorrow. So, yeah, Picard is good, and I'm loving Picard so far. And it's getting okay ratings. I was surprised because Star Trek fans are like Star Wars fans, and I'm a Star Trek fan, but man, they're picky. Like they're so picky with stuff. Like they don't really want to see anything new. Make sure you don't violate canon. I get all of that, but I'm all about the expansion, man. I'm all about trying new stuff. I'm all about expanding the story. Oh man, they're something else. So wait, Renee, are you saying because Warrior was set in the past, or you're saying something more modern, as in a show with maybe Warrior's type of martial arts, but set in current day? I think that would work. I think that would work. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is because certainly like the shows are really well produced. Warrior, Into the Badlands. So maybe it is the setting. Maybe they would fare better if they had a different setting. In Picard, yeah, I mean there's martial arts in Picard, but that's not the emphasis of the show. So I don't know. It's a real interesting thing. Yeah, I guess that's true about Banshee too. But Banshee really developed a pretty tight knit cult following. I'm surprised that someone else didn't pick Banshee up and run with it. So yeah, I guess you're right, Jin Han. It's just sad, man. I mean, I don't know what to say about Warrior shows like ITB. I don't know if we I don't know, man. I don't know if the countries if it's just not something that here in the states anyway that folks are really digging enough for it to get forward progress. I know in a lot of countries they're still super hyped about those shows. I mean, I still get questions if you go back and you look at some of the old ITB videos that we did here on the channel. People are like, if you look and you see recent comments, people still ask questions about when is ITB coming back. So, excuse me, man, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it seems like today, if you're making something that's in the fantasy genre, maybe not with martial arts execution, but in the fantasy genre, in sci-fi, in maybe horror in terms of zombies or Walking Dead or something that has a dystopian future, then you're going to get a lot of mileage out of it. Because for whatever reason, we are in the era of a lot of things that people enjoy that seem to have fantasy elements. And even some of the movies coming out that kind of have those offbeat fantasy elements. Like you think about how excited people are about Tenet, which seems to have some kind of sci-fi or some kind of, fantasy elements. How excited people are about The Witcher. There's something about those type of productions that people really gravitate towards. I don't know if it's the idea that those productions are larger than life and you really do get to escape. We talk about immersion on the channel all the time, and when we see a good piece of content, it has a high immersion factor. It pulls us into the story. So I think things like high fantasy do a good job of that, really letting you like come home from a crappy day's work and sit in your easy chair, sit in your chair, lounge around, and sink into a good TV show. And I think high fantasy and sci-fi and all those things are good shows for escapism. That's probably why they're doing so well today. But yeah, I think everybody was hoping Renee, the Netflix was going to pick ITB up and continue it. But now I understand why I don't think they could. Like I just don't think that they had the budget for it. And I remember Daniel Wu did say that show was not a cheap show to produce. That was an expensive show to produce. And we may have talked about this last week, but Netflix is pumping out a lot of stuff. But Netflix is, man, they are. Netflix owes a lot of people. They got a lot of debt on their books, and I mean, they maybe they're not worried about it because they feel like that's just par for the course, and they keep pumping out shows. But they have a lot of debt on their books, so I don't even know how much money they would have had in house, or at least money in the States, to produce something like that. They get a lot of international content because they're really trying to expand their markets in a lot of other places outside of the U.S. But I don't think like Netflix doesn't have Disney Plus or Disney type money to keep making content. So at least content that's done here in the States. Their budget, they don't have that much money. What's going on, Cobra? Welcome, my friend. Cobra's got 10 minutes. So that's cool. Yeah, man, Cobra, we were just, we ran through the other topics. You can jump on and check that out in the replay. But we were just talking about, the question was, what's going on with martial arts shows here in America? You probably know that Warrior is getting one final season on Cinemax, and then it's done. And then we talked a little bit about ITB and how ITB is no longer here, and how a lot of martial arts based shows, at least here in the country, just have very short shelf lives. And we were really just asking the question why that is. And so people threw out some ideas. Some folks were saying, well, maybe if the shows were more grounded, maybe if it was martial arts brought into more of a modern era, it might be more successful. I have no idea why these shows aren't flying. The comment was made that maybe Warrior was too woke, but then Warrior was really just a period piece. Although it would get classified as being really woke today anyway. So I don't know. We were just talking about why those shows don't seem to be surviving. No, we did not cover Spiral. I might be able to pull that trailer up though, because I haven't seen it. See if I can get the mouse over there. Oh, Spiral's trending is 2 also on YouTube. All right. Let's see if we can check it out, you guys. If I can get my mouse over there.
What do you got there? Oh, it's just my wife. Emma.
See you, Renee.
My son Charlie.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
While it lasts.
Nothing happier than the wife of a new detective.
Emma's cool, man. She's different. You don't know my wife.
You give a woman 600 Tuesdays. It ain't worth 3 Saturday nights.
How much money you got? A lot. How many problems you got? A lot. How many people that died? A lot.
All available units, officer down.
Pray that you flop.
Detective Banks en route.
Oh, it's produced by Chris Rock.
This has another motive. They're targeting cops.
This shit's gonna go sideways fast.
Someone's out there pulling all the strings.
You wanna play games, motherfucker?
Oh, snap. Oh, man. Yo, that does look crazy. Yeah, that looks crazy, Cobra. Yeah, I'm definitely going. We definitely will be checking that out. Yeah, it's funny because I saw that that trailer popped up. I hadn't watched it, but I'm glad we were able to see that together because that looks good, man. Oh, yeah. I think you were good, man. I don't know why you got that prompt. I can see it in the. And what a great response. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, that's Samuel's favorite word, man. I don't know. It's like breathing for him. I didn't see the Hitman's Bodyguard, but I heard about it. I don't know. I don't know, Cobra. I gotta read more about it. Like I said, I just saw the thumbnail for the trailer, but I hadn't watched it. I saw it actually before the stream started, so I'm glad we were able to actually check that out together. I don't know what the deal is. I know it's produced by Chris Rock, but Cobra, do you know if this is an original story or is it based on some other work, a book or something like that? You have any idea? All right, Bear. Thanks for joining, man. Hopefully, we will see you again. Thanks for the conversation. Yeah, The Mandalorian 2 comes back in October. Looking forward to that. I guess Disney's subscription will go back up then because, as we know, a lot of people dropped it. Okay, so it's a reboot of the Saw franchise. Man, now I'm intrigued. Okay. All right. So I'm looking forward to that. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of twist it has. If it's in the Saw universe, it'll be interesting to see what kind of twist Chris puts on top of that. All right. All right, you guys. I am going to say sayonara. Thank you guys for hanging out. We will be back on Sundays, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We just took that one. We had that one. We moved the date, of course, because of the Super Bowl, but we'll be back on Sundays this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Last time I saw Rocky, Oh, Play a Cop was in, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. It looks pretty good, Cobra. All right. Oh, man, I don't know how long you've been on, Daniel. If I missed you, sorry, man. Good to see you. All right, all. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks, Cobra, for jumping on. I know you had plans. I know you were busy, so appreciate you stopping by. I will see you guys on Sunday. MB. Thanks for stopping by anyway, MB. Yeah, we'll be back Sunday, 8 o'clock, man, p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm actually going to put something in the comments section to get some questions from you guys that you might want to cover. But I appreciate it. Much love to everybody. And now I'm going to grab something to eat because I have not eaten since I got off of work. And then likely go to bed. All right, guys. I will see you in a few. Notification bells, ladies and gentlemen. Will be some videos coming out between now and then. But I'll definitely see you guys again live on Sunday. Peace.